In this podcast series, we educate dog owners, veterinary practices, and dog trainers using humane methods. My name is Scott Sheaffer, and it's my mission to help you better understand your dog's behavior. Welcome back to the USA Dog Behavior Podcast. I'm Scott Sheaffer, a certified dog behaviorist, and today's episode is titled, Do Dogs Understand Death? What Science and Experience Really Show Us. This is part one of a two-part series. Part two will be titled, Do Dogs Go to Heaven? Today we're sticking to what dogs can actually perceive and experience regarding death. When a dog dies in a household, owners almost always ask the same question. Does my other dog know what happened? Here's what I've found in my experience. Some dogs seem depressed. Some search the house for the other dog, which is really sad. Some don't seem to care at all. Yet others almost seem happier now. So which is true? Which one actually happens? The real answer is dogs don't understand death the way that humans do, but they absolutely notice loss and change. Dogs don't think in abstract concepts. They don't understand permanence or mortality. They don't imagine an afterlife. At least we don't think so. Who's to know? But dogs do understand and recognize scent, routine, presence, behavior, emotional atmosphere. But when one or more of these things suddenly disappears in their daily routine, they notice. Dogs are so much more perceptive of their environment than most people realize. One of the most important senses involved is smell. When a dog dies, its scent changes dramatically, of course. If a surviving dog is allowed to sniff the body or be near the body of the deceased dog, many seem calmer afterwards. Not because they understand death, but because their brain processes the following. This familiar being is no longer responding. I don't need to keep searching for it. There is nothing unknown or novel now for me to worry about. In most dogs, this tends to bring some closure. Some dogs show what looks like grief. Keyword is looks like. Loss of appetite, lethargy, restlessness, whining, clinginess, changes in sleep. These are not uncommon behaviors to see when a dog dies. But here's an important distinction. Dogs are actually reacting to loss of companionship, loss of routine, emotional changes in the household. That is, the human family, which normally reacts very strongly, and the dogs pick that up. They're not reacting to the concept of death itself. Dogs are always present-focused creatures. And not every dog reacts strongly. Some dogs barely change at all, as we've noted earlier. This doesn't mean something is wrong with them. It usually just means, one, they weren't strongly bonded with the dog that died, or the routine disruption is minimal after the dog deceased. Dogs that coexist rather than bond deeply may show little reaction. And some dogs might even act happier because they are getting more attention from their human owners. I know that's probably a little bit hard to accept, but it is true. Dogs just don't bring to death the same things that humans do. This does not mean that your dog is bad if that were to happen. All of the responses we've been talking about are normal, acceptable responses. Any one of those does not mean there's something wrong with your dog. It's just the menu of responses. So how should owners help the surviving dog or dogs? The best thing you can do is maintain structure. If you learn nothing else about dogs than listening to my podcast episodes, learn this. Dogs love routine just like humans do. And the same reason they love it is the same reason that humans love structure and routine. It makes life easier, more predictable, with less anxiety. What is regular routine or structure for a dog? Well, I think most of us know what those kinds of things look like. Regular walks, same feeding times each day, same training routines, same rules. What you don't want to do is turn your dog into an emotional support animal for you regarding the grief or the loss around the dog, the deceased. Excessive comforting of the dog can accidentally reinforce anxiety and depression behaviors on the part of the dog. And yes, dogs can and do get depressed. This excessive comforting is called behavioral cueing, and I'm going to cover this subject in an upcoming episode. This is very important when a dog dies in your household in how you treat the remaining dog or dogs. If you coddle them and do all this kind of petting that's way beyond what they normally experienced, the message is something is wrong. It's important to keep treating their surviving dog or dogs in the same way. Dogs feel safest when the world stays predictable, their world stays predictable, leadership stays calm, their owners, routines stay intact. A lot of owners project human grief onto dogs, as I mentioned earlier, especially after the loss of a family dog. That's natural, but it's not always helpful. Dogs don't sit around thinking, my friend is gone forever. They need to move on. They think, my world feels different. And once their world feels stable again, what they've known before the dog died, they adapt remarkably well. If you've had a dog die in your household, you know what I mean. This brings us to the deeper emotional question. If dogs don't understand death, do they go to heaven? That's not a scientific question. It's really a spiritual and emotional one. And that's what we'll talk about in part 2 of this series, which is going to be my next podcast episode. To some of you, I think that is probably maybe a silly question, but you would be amazed how many dog owners, and I've been through this with many, who've lost a beloved dog, ask that question or one that's similar to that. You've got to remember, for many dog owners, including myself, the loss of a dog is profound, and so they're searching for answers. We're going to take this on in our next episode, and I think you might find it interesting. If today's episode helped you, I'd really appreciate a quick review on Apple or wherever you listen. It helps other dog owners find the show. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with other dog lovers. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll continue our dive into the world of dog behavior.